Welcome back, everyone. PowerShell nerd ready with more content. Today we're going to be talking about just PowerShell and objects and the commandlets, going over some basic stuff, kind of doing sub expressions with those and kind of going over what that is, and we'll talk a little bit more about like using the pipe a little bit more. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. We'll hit the shell. Don't forget to like, subscribe, keep coming back. Please let me know what I need to make more content on, because that's helpful for me to help you. And then we'll have those challenges, mini challenges, at the end of the video and also down in the description. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hit the shell. So we're going to get back into it. We went over get command previously, but if you don't remember, that's a good command for finding commands. It will list out all the commands. So we know that. I'll go ahead and run it again for those that haven't seen the other videos. But again, you can use get command to list out everything. You can do -module and specify a module name. So if you're looking for modules or commands within a module like Active Directory, it's a useful technique to use. Next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to use get process. And we're going to retrieve all those processes on this machine. Then we're going to store it in a variable. So we'll go ahead and do that. It's done. We print out processes down below. These are all the processes on the machine. But now what we can do is we can use what we did earlier in the video with the arrays. We can use the index number and we can grab that first process. So if we were to just do this without anything else, there's the first process. And in here you can see the titles of everything. One of your best friends in PowerShell, besides me, is getMember. Alright? So if we pipe this to getMember, it's going to show you all the properties, all the methods, all the cool stuff you can do. And this is where you can go to figure out extra properties that they don't expose on the default output. If we look through here, we can see we got ID, we got exit code, exit time, handle, the file path to a process. You can pull that out right now. So it's pretty cool stuff. Right here, we're going to be grabbing a name. So we're just going to grab the name of the first process. And there we go. First process, application frame host. So that's easy peasy. The parentheses with the $sign, that is a sub expression. I can't think of a specific use case, but I'll remember it eventually because it's gotten me before writing scripts. But if you ever do a dot expression, like if you ever drill in to an object with a dot, right? Like we're doing here, processes dot name. When you're doing this, there's specific instances where this doesn't play nice in scripts. If you're outputting it to, I can't remember if it's a screen or to the file or something like that, you'll get weird issues. So I always, just to be safe, use a sub expression, and it wraps that in there so it knows that that is a full command. And I think I just remembered why I do that. So if I do this right here, and then let's say we wrap this in quotes. It literally thinks name is a string. Look at that. It thinks name is a string. So if I put that in a sub expression and we run that, maybe not. It's a different output for sure. So there is a difference there. You can see that difference. But again, that's what I'm saying. If you don't use sub expressions, you get different outputs. And depending on what you're doing, sometimes it can get you, and you can be going through a lot of code trying to figure it out. So I always just use sub expressions as much as I can when I'm doing dots on grabbing properties of objects and stuff. All right, let's keep going. Exploring object properties and methods. So we'll grab the first process in this list. We're going to see what it is. First process, application frame host. We can grab that first process name, the ID, and we can write those to the screen. So here you can see we have process name, process ID, memory usage. Obviously you can do some tricks to manipulate and do math on the memory usage to make it human readable. We can always get deeper into that stuff. For get service, let's go ahead and grab those services, do the same thing. We can get the first service name and print it to the screen. So there we go. Again, using the index number, always using sub expressions because of those gotchas. You can also specify the name of a service and get that. So we'll get the the wuauserv service. I always call it wuauserv, but it's not what it's really called. And it's the Windows Update service. So we can see it's stopped right now. You can also grab, right out to the screen that it's stopping the service, right? And then we can stop it with that method. So again, going back to service, we only have one in here, but use your best friend besides me, get member. And here we can see all those methods. You can pause, you can refresh, you can start, you can stop. Like there's a lot of things you can do on here. Dispose. And then over here, it kind of tells you a little bit more about those methods and how to use them. Obviously, read the documentation online to get more content out of it. But right now, if we look at service, we can see it's currently stopped. So we don't want to stop it. It's already stopped. So let's go ahead and use that method that we read above, and we can just do start. And then let's check that service now. It still says stop. Do you know why? It's because it doesn't update the instance of service that we have. So if we actually go back and get the service again and store it, and then do service, it's running. So that's one thing you have to remember. When you change something, make sure you go back and get it again so you get the freshest state of it. So we'll go ahead and stop it. And then we'll check service again. It's going to say it's running. But if we do that again, get service, and we check again, it's stopped. So next, you can do get processes. You can do some cool stuff with selects. Some people don't know this, so I kind of showed it in here. But you can actually say select the first one. And then you can say select the name, the ID, the working set. Like you can do all this stuff too. The coolest thing though is select the first one, because I use that when I'm doing tests with code. So usually, like if I'm doing something in code and I'm testing things out and I want a small batch of things, I would say like give me the first 5 or the first 6. You can also do, maybe you don't want the first, maybe you want the last 5. Why not, right? So it's pretty cool to have those. Again, looking at all the properties and parameters that you have on these commandlets, you'll learn some pretty cool stuff. We can write this out to the screen now. Go ahead and run that, and then we get selected process, the ID, and the memory. That's pretty cool stuff there. You'll have that in a script, typically writing that out to the screen. Another cool thing about PowerShell, I'm going to have to dive into this a little deeper later on, especially talking about pipes. But we can do get process, and we can say where the CPU is greater than 10. So this is the first time we're seeing this $_. This $_, there's 2 ways of doing this. There's this, which is actually an alias. And there's actually, go ahead and grab this real fast. There's another way of doing this without using it, because this is, like I said, it's an alias. It's PSItem. A lot of people don't know this. A lot of people don't use this, and you don't see it a lot. And you might come across it online. But what does the $_ and the PSItem actually mean? So let's go back to our example of get process. And we're going to grab the first one, and I'm going to remove the rest of this. This right here is the first item in the list. So when you're using a pipe, and if you pay close enough attention when you're getting large sets of data, not everything's printing to the screen right away. If you pay attention enough, this computer is a little bit faster. You might not see it, but you should see like it's printing line by line. If I hit enter, you can kind of see how it's printing line by line. And that's because each one of these rows of items is an object in PowerShell. And that object is can and will, when you do a pipe, go over the pipe one at a time, kind of like it prints out. So when you do a pipe, item by item, so this would be the first item that's going to go over that pipe. And again, all those properties from get member, we know what's there. We know name is there. We know CPU is there, right? So I can do, let's say, we'll select the name. We'll do CPU. There we go, right? So we have name and CPU. Again, when you pipe this here, only name and CPU, only this is going to go over the pipe. And if we didn't have just the first one or the last one, it'd be all of them. But it's going to be one at a time going to the pipe. So that dollar underscore is going to represent all this information for that one item going over the pipe. So when you see where object dollar underscore CPU, it's saying for the current item, this current thing is going over the pipe. This is dollar underscore, and then you're going into the CPU column and you're getting this filled, and you're saying where that is greater than 10, and that's what the dollar underscore in PSItem is. So hopefully that makes sense. Basically every single thing going over the pipe one at a time. This one, is it more than 10? Nope. This one, more than 10? Yep. Print it to the screen. That's basically what's happening. So if we run this right now, it's going to show that. There we go. And again, if you watch it close enough, you'll see it go line by line, printing those out. And then, again, same thing, PSItem. It's the same exact thing. Dollar underscore is just an alias for PSItem. So that's all we have right now. Again, we'll be going over more stuff in the pipes and the dollar underscores in the video coming up. Here's our challenge for this video series. So the challenge is going to be using get process to find the process you're interested in, like Chrome or PowerShell. Output the process name, ID, and memory usage. Pipe output, get process to where object to find processes that have more than 100 megabytes of memory usage. Go ahead and try those out. If you have questions, throw them in the chat. If you know the answer, don't give the answer in the chat. Please don't do that. Or in the comments. Sorry about that. Anything else? Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.